On the quiet night in May 2025, a Ugandan lawyer and activist Agatha Atuhaire was found at the Tanzanian border, alone, bruised and in shock. For days, no one had known where she was. Her disappearance after attempting to attend the treason trial of Tanzania's opposition leader Tundu Lissu set off alarms across East Africa. Agatha Atuhaire is not just a lawyer, she is an award-winning human rights defender. Honored in Washington, D.C. in 2024 for her fight against corruption and abuse, but in Tanzania, her commitment to justice became a reason she was targeted. She had traveled to Dar es Salaam in solidarity with Tundu Lissu, a man facing treason charges for calling on Tanzanians to resist what many believe to be a rigged political system. But Agatha never made it to court. She was never detained. Alongside her was Kenyan activist Boniface Mwangi, known across the region for exposing police brutality and state corruption. According to Mwangi, they were both arrested by the immigration officials, but soon the situation escalated. They were not simply questioned or deported, they were handed over to unidentified men who claimed to be part of Tanzania's state security apparatus. What followed, according to Mwangi, was a nightmare. They were first blindfolded, then chained, then taken to unknown location, isolated, interrogated, and tortured. Mwangi later said that the men never identified themselves, but acted with complete authority, following direct orders from someone who came to the immigration office, personally instructed that the two activists receive what he called the Tanzanian treatment. Just imagine. The torture was not just physical, it was a calculated humiliation. Mwangi says that Agatha from a nearby room was crying out in pain. She was begging for them to stop. He said that her voice grew weaker and weaker each time he heard her cry. He recalls that officers touched her inappropriately. She told him that they had grabbed her, grappled while restrained, under the disguise of searching her. There was no dignity, there was no legality, just violence, intimidation designed to break her. While she was finally released days after, Agatha was not handed over to the officials. She was not processed through any formal channel. Instead, she was dumped at night at the Uganda-Tanzanian border, abandoned like a threat that had been neutralized. Ugandan rights group called the Agora Discourse confirmed her recovery and posted online that she had indications of torture. Photos were released, but people close to her said that she was shaken, physically hurt, and emotionally scared. To date, the Tanzanian government has issued no statement explaining her arrest or treatment. President Samia Suluhu Hassan, however, warned earlier the same week about the foreign activists would not be allowed to cross the borderline in Tanzania. Her words are widely seen as a threat, and in Agatha's case, it seems those words became action. This is not the first case of repression under President Hassan. Though she entered office in 2021, promising reforms, openness, her administration, however, has been overseen by arrest, disappearance, and silencing of several numerous opposition voices. Activists, journalists, and now foreign visitors have become all targets. Tundu Lissu, a man Agatha went to support, remains in jail. Charged with treason for encouraging Tanzanians to boycott elections he called illegitimate. His party, known as Chadema, has been barred from the upcoming vote, and now those who even attempt to show solidarity with him are also facing detention, violence, and abuse. What happened to Agatha Atuhaire is not just a Ugandan story. It is not just one woman. It is a warning to all that stand for democracy in that region. Her body may be released, but trauma she carries and the silence from those responsible shows for how the Tanzanian government may go to crush dissent. She is now recovering with her loved ones, but she perhaps still processing all the pain, perhaps still fears retaliation, or perhaps many survivors of the state violence. She knows that East Africa today, telling the truth can cost you everything you know. But her silence does not erase her story. It does not include protection. The world must now look away. Activists like Agatha need protection, not punishment. What happened to her should concern us all. Justice for Agatha is justice for every woman and justice for every activist and every freedom fighter. Internationally, Agatha's ordeal has drawn sharp condemnation from the US. The US State Department expressed deep concern over her detention and allegations of torture. Officials called on Tanzanian authorities to conduct a full and transparent investigation and to hold accountable those who are violating human rights. American lawmakers and human rights organizations have argued the US to use diplomatic channels and aid conditionally to pressure Tanzania into respecting freedom of expression and protecting political activists. There are ongoing diplomatic discussions aimed at ensuring that Tanzania upholds international human rights obligations. In addition, US engagement, global human rights groups are calling for sustained international monitoring of all Tanzanian political climate, warning that unchecked repression could destabilize the border and the East African region. The international spotlight on Tanzania is critical. It may provide some measure of political protection for all activists like Agatha and serve a reminder that the world is watching everyone who is disrespecting all human rights. If you enjoyed the video, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.